In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Kaggle, the website that I mentioned in the mini lecture that contains lots of information about data science and many data sets that you can access for free. And then we're going to download the Super Bowl data that I mentioned we would be working on from Kaggle, and we're going to import it into our Google Docs spreadsheet where we will work on it in modules 3 and 4. So for starters, let's just go to Kaggle, and Kaggle is spelled Kaggle.com. So we'll hit return, and this is Kaggle, and I am signed in, which is why you can see my picture there. But you don't need to sign in if you open up Kaggle yourself and you see that it asks you to sign in. You can ignore that unless you want to sign in. And if you do want to sign in, you can use a Google sign in. You don't have to create a new entry, but you can also do that. So as you can see over here on the left, Kaggle has quite a few things. It's obviously a site for very sophisticated work. One of the things it has, which is interesting, is this bar on courses. And these are actually, they call them micro courses on different topics in data science. So these are very advanced, far more advanced than what we're doing in this course. But very briefly, these are all topics in data science. Python is a computer language that's widely used for data science. Machine learning is a term you've heard. Data visualization is something we'll do in Module 4, how we create images with our data. I'm not personally familiar with pandas, but it looks like it's a tool to use to improve your data science skills. Deep learning, SQL refers to structured query language, and that's how most all relational databases work. Geospatial analysis has to do with maps. And machine learning is something that you've probably heard. I think I just mentioned that already. Natural language processing is how computers learn to understand language, or how they're programmed to understand language. And finally, game AI. AI is artificial intelligence. So this is about creating games with artificial intelligence. So these are topics that you may have an interest in now, or you may have an interest in the future, and this is a place where you can learn more about them. But we're interested in data today. So as you can see, they have all these data sets, and not surprisingly, the ones right at the top have to do with the COVID-19 virus, because at the time I'm making this video, that is what we are living through. But there are many different topics. So here's one on how late airplane flights are likely to be. And here's something about something called League of Legends, which is some kind of game that I'm not familiar with. This is about counties and COVID-19. Here is something about demand for hotel rooms. We can go down to air pollution in Seoul, Korea. So you can see there's all sorts of things here. And video game sales. They're not all high tech. And Netflix movies and TV shows. Tesla stock, if you know what the car Tesla is. So again, there's all sorts of stuff. The prices of avocados. So you're probably glad I picked Super Bowls and not the prices of avocados. So Super Bowl's down here. And to download it, all you do is click on the name. And now you can see that we've got a page, and this tells you about the this is all provided by the person who provided this data, and this is what it looks like down here. And here are some graphs. So we're going to do stuff like this, but we're going to do it in Google Sheets. Right now, we just want to get the data. So to get the data, you click on download, and I already could tell from the site that this is a comma separated value, or CSV file. So I don't have to do that, but anyway, so I'm going to click on here because I just want to save it as a CSV file, and I'm going to click on save. And now what it's going to make me do is go into my folder, because it came down as something called a zip file. And to get it out, what I would do is actually just double click, and now it's here. But you can see I already had a copy. So I'm actually going to get rid of these because I had previously downloaded this in anticipation of making this video. So I don't need to have 2 copies. So I'll just going to move those to the trash. And let's just go back to our, let's just see the window here. Okay. So we're done with Kaggle. And what we want to do now is go to Google. And let's click on here. Now I can go to Google Drive and find the spreadsheet. You can also scroll down here and say specifically, I want Google Sheets. And this will open up my Google spreadsheets. And you'll see I've already created a spreadsheet for middle school data science. So I'm just going to double click on that. If you didn't have one, you could just create a new one. And I'm going to hide this bar because I don't need to see this. What I do need to see is I need a place to import this data. So I want to put it on a new sheet. So I hit the plus sign and I want that to be in the front. So I'm going to pull it over here to the left and I want to rename it Super Bowl data. Now I want to import the data. So I'm going to put my cursor in B11, column B, row 11. Because I don't like to start at the top. When I bring data into a spreadsheet, whenever I start working on a spreadsheet, and this is not a rule, you can do whatever you want, but I always find as I'm working on data in a spreadsheet that I always want to have room at the top so I can put totals in, or I can put notes to myself, or I can play around with functions and just figure out what I'm trying to do with the spreadsheet. So I just tend to start. I'm actually going to put it in 10 because I want the titles in 10, and then my data is going to start in row 11. And so to import, I know where the file is already. I'm going to click on File. I'm going to click on Import. And I'm going to go to Upload. Now, I've already got the data here, but I will show you how to do that. So since the file, if it were in my drive, my Google Drive, I'd see it right here. But because it's in the folders on my Mac, I'm going to go to Upload, and then I'm going to click on Select a File from my device, which is my Mac. Now there it is, the CSV file. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to open it. So Google's now opened it. And okay, that was a bit of a longer break than usual. Google is asking me, do I want to put this in a new spreadsheet or some of these other things? Well, no, I don't. I'm on the spreadsheet where I want it. So I'm going to click on Replace Data at the selected cell. Now, I also know that this is a comma separated value file. So I'm going to click on comma. If I didn't know, I could just let Google do it and they would probably do it correctly. But I know it's a CSV file, so I'm clicking on comma. And the last thing I'm going to do is look at this question. Google is asking me, do I want Google to convert anything that it sees as text but thinks might be numbers or dates or formulas into numbers, dates, and formulas? And the answer is yes. I trust Google to do that. If it turns out to be the wrong thing, and that happens, then sometimes you have to go back and import it again and take the other choice. So that's something you learn as you go. So I'm going to now click on Import Data, and there's our Super Bowl data. So we're going to do very little at this point. We're going to do a lot on this spreadsheet in modules 3 and 4, but just very quickly, I'd like to be able to see the full names of the team. So in column D, I'm going to go over here to the right side at the top of column D and double click, and it just automatically widens out so I can see everything there. I'm going to do the same thing in column F. I'm going to do the same thing in the column MVP, most valuable player. And then here, this is kind of funny. You can see that they've done the Roman numerals, which of course is what the NFL does every year, but they seem to have forgotten the Roman numeral for 50. So I don't know if that was oversight or how that happened, but I'm going to type it in so it looks the same as the other. L space, left parenthesis, 50, right parenthesis, and hit return. And now it looks the same as the others. So that's it. That's all we're going to hear. The stadium names, let's make those appear. So we're now up to, we've loaded our data. We're ready to work on it in the next module. And but for now, we're done. And again, the important takeaway here is you can find data online in many places, not just in Kaggle, uh, but you can find data in many places, and you can bring it into a spreadsheet to work on it. You can bring it into other programs to work on it too, but spreadsheets are the easiest, and that's what we're doing in this course. So that's the important part of this lesson, is how to get data from the internet and import it into some place where you can work on it, probably a spreadsheet. Okay.